Good morning, guys. It's a little bit of a topic that's kind of sore in the automotive community right now because of a specific person. And we won't mention any names, but you guys have been here for a while, know who I'm talking about. It was brought to my attention that such and such person made a big deal about something about Ford going out of business, and they're stopping production at all facilities, and they're not going to make cars anymore. And then all of a sudden it's like silence. You don't hear anything from that person anymore after making these claims. And then they come back a few days later, maybe a week later, same thing again. Ford's going out of business, and they're really this time shutting down the plants, and they've cut all these senior jobs and stuff. And it's sad because people will honestly believe that this is exactly at face value what's going on. They're going out of business, so they're firing all these people so they can save money. That's not the situation at all. Back in 2009, Toyota was doing the same thing. Thousands of employees were complaining about furloughs and salary adjustments being made and things that they shouldn't have to go through. And then in 2020, they laid off a certain amount of people. I think it was at the Kentucky plant or something like that. And you can look through the history of Toyota and see that they've also went through the same situations where things have changed. Employees felt like they were done wrong. Money was shifted around inside the company to make things better and put more into certain venues. Sometimes when you're looking for money to put into certain areas, or maybe your sales are lower or whatever it is, you will make cuts at salaried levels where people have been with a company for a long time, and you have to make the right call. This person's been with a company for 30 years or 40 years, and they're making X amount of dollars. Do they really have the company in mind at technology advancement and stuff? Like, can I bring in a bunch of fresh young minds, pay them less money, have them work to achieve what the people that are getting laid off have achieved by the time they left, and get these young fresh minds and stuff in that are part of the newer technology? They were brought up on the newer technology, and they're there to really drive and see what they can do for the company. It's that younger type mentality, that go-getter type mentality, where somebody wants to succeed and really prove themselves. So a lot of times what companies will do is they'll take their senior people that are phenomenal people, they'll cut them to save money, they'll bring in a bunch of young people with fresh minds that may look at something different and replace them, and they get this fresher outlook on stuff. Now, is it always beneficial to the company? No, it's not. Ford is actually there's actually people trying to sue Ford as of August of, I think, 21 or something like that. There's like 6 people that are suing Ford for age discrimination. With that being said, it's hard to win a case against the company whenever the state themselves protects the corporations and companies, such as an at-will state. I remember my father and my uncle my father was a financial director at a big college. My uncle was one of the technical team leads there as one of the head instructors for like the heavy-duty hydraulic department, the diesel department and stuff. And phenomenal instructors. Everybody looked up to them. But when it came time to start looking at where they had their money and where the company was going and how the student enrollment was down because of the times that we're living in, they had to start making cuts. And they weren't going to start with the lowest paid person there, the youngest, there. They started with at the top. My pops got cut. They saved a ton of money because he'd been in finance over 40 years. He's a senior, whatever you call it, CPA, blah, 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 and he'd always been working for companies as the finance control. and that's what they hired him in as. He's the longest running finance manager for this particular college, or finance director. And then my uncle the same way. He'd been working on forklifts and semi-trucks and stuff like that, industrial warehouses, on equipment and stuff his whole entire life. So he had a ton of experience, and he got paid a lot of money to be the technical team lead and be the head instructor in his department. So they started with those guys. They started with the guys making the most money. Then they went and they tried to sue the college, and they were like, there's nothing you can do. So all 5 people that got fired were over the age of 55. They're trying to fire for age discrimination. And because of the state that we live in, they were like, it's an at-will state. There's literally nothing you can do. You're going to waste your money and you're going to waste your time. But when you live in an at-will state, they could fire you for no reason. Just because they don't like the color of your eyes. They don't have to give you a reason. They literally show up and say you're fired. Unless you have a union, there's nothing that can be done. And even when you do have a union in an at-will state, there's very minimal that they can do in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't work that way. A lot of people think they have all these protections and stuff like that, and I've been with the company 40 years, they'll never fire me. Oh no, Jack, they will fire you. And a lot of times that's exactly what they do. So be very careful when you buy into this hype on the internet about the specific people bashing manufacturers, saying that the reason they're doing it is because they're going out of business. That's not always the case. There's many different reasons why they're doing it. And honestly, Ford is doing fine right now. They're not shutting down facilities. They're not firing all these people because they're going out of business, and it would take a lot more than 1,000 people being fired to save a company from going out of business. So don't really buy into all that hype. Be smarter than that and really see through who's telling you stuff, and realize that most of the time on YouTube, when you're hearing stuff like that and people are they sound fictitious, like almost like if your immediate reaction is like, oh my god, they're going out of business, and what am I going to do? I've been with this company my whole life, or I've been buying product from them. Do some research. Most of the time it's phony baloney. Just do some research. There's a lot of people that just want to make money, so they're going to try to create any type of video that they can to generate views, because they don't care about people. They just want to generate money. It's that turmoil and that drama. I wanted to cover this real quick and share my experiences with it, and just always do your research. Don't just believe somebody. Don't even just believe everything that I just said. Go look it up for yourself. Go look up things and just be smart about it, man. I'm so tired of people living off the coattail of somebody else and thinking that somebody else is their savior. So everything that person does and says has got to be golden because they're 70,000 years old or something. It's all a bunch of BS. Just be smart. I love y'all. I'm going to start my work day. Be blessed.